has been serving up their delicious barbecued pork, ribs, chicken, ham, and turkey for generations of family get-togethers. Recognized as the best barbecue joint in Alabama for 2 years in a row, Lawler's is thrilled to share their award-winning barbecue for your next family meal or catered event. Order online or stop by any one of their 14 area locations. Lawler's Barbecue, cooked slow, served fast.
It's time to get ready for game day. That means Alabama football and tailgating. Whether you're tailgating at home or at Bryant-Denny, visit Brooks & Collier for North Alabama's largest selection of premium grills and smokers like Big Green Egg, Blaze, Delta Heat, Memphis, and Traeger. Satisfy any palate with our wall of rubs and seasonings. For all your tailgating needs, visit Brooks & Collier at 813 Meridian Street or at brooksandcollier.com. An Alabama tradition for over 75 years. Roll Tide.
It's an amazing time in our industry. Things are changing so rapidly. With digital signatures and workflow software, we help our customers work from anywhere. This helps you save time and money and upgrade your technology. Like I said, it's an amazing time to watch our customers grow and succeed.
Just ask anyone. A Lion's secret.
Are you tired of power outages disrupting your life? It's time for a Generac standby generator from Current Electrical. Storms may rage outside, but inside your family's powered up. So why choose Current Electrical for your generator needs? 1, we offer a wide range of models to suit every budgeted energy requirement. 2, our project managers handle every step of the process: power, gas, permitting, and inspections. 3, our certified technicians install your generator with precision, ensuring peace of mind. Don't wait for the next blackout. Call 256-880-1880 or visit us online at jetsuperstore.com.
Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
There you are. We're back. We're live. We're brand new. It is a Monday morning. It's Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. It's your good, the bad, the ugly from a weekend of college football. But before we get that, let's tip off the show because we want to remind everyone that tonight, Von Braun Center, 7 o'clock, you get Alabama and Memphis in a charity exhibition basketball game. Now, according to Nate Oates, the Tide will be expected to be without Grant Nelson, Latrell Wrightsell, and Aiden Sherrill. All three expected to miss the game tonight. All three did not play in the charity exhibition game against Wake Forest a week ago. Don't worry, it's exhibition play. They'll be fine for the season. But remember, tonight is a charity exhibition game. And tonight, the funds will go and help benefit Huntsville Hospital Foundation's Heartbeat Heroes Project. During the game, they will be presented a check for $50,000, and it will go to help do AEDs, purchase 500 AEDs to help improve lives and outcomes over the next 3 years. The goal is to put them in sporting facilities, parks, schools, recreational facilities, and other community gathering areas. And this has been a huge project of Huntsville Hospital Foundation's Heartbeat Heroes. So that is the good news for tonight. But you get college basketball inside the Von Braun Center.
Yeah, it's going to be a great atmosphere. Shout out to the Huntsville Sports Commission, Knight Edie, and all those guys for putting it on. Joel Lamp has done a great job, Mark Russell, all those folks, and putting this together. And certainly I know some tickets were available this coming weekend. Hopefully everything's going to be sold out. But we certainly are expecting an energetic crowd like they had at Boutwell, an even bigger crowd. They've always supported the Rocket City Classic when Alabama and Auburn have come here in the regular season. So it's great to have the number 2 team in the country coming here to play against a brand like Memphis and Penny Hardaway. Mike Davis, former Alabama, both assistant coach and player, and who's had a lengthy head coaching career himself, the latest with Detroit, University of Detroit, is on that staff now. So that's another connection. So Should be an exciting night. Looking forward to it. You already mentioned, those three guys being out, and that's kind of, I think, what everybody expected. And there's a fourth that will not be available, and he won't be available until probably SEC play. He's the one that's injured and had to have surgery, and that's Chris Youngblood, the transfer from South Florida, the reigning AAC Player of the Year, who played for the late Amir Abdul-Rahim with the Bulls. Yeah. He had to have some surgery during the offseason, so he's not ready yet. But as you said, holding out Aiden Sherrill, the McDonald's All-American backup center, to Cliff Amori. Latrell Wright's very likely the backcourt mate for Mark Sears, and Grant Nelson, your starting power forward. So those guys will not see action, but they scored 98 points on Wake Forest without them. So it's a very deep team, and you'll see a lot of experienced and young talent on this Crimson Tide squad tonight.
Yeah, Mark Sears is expected to play, and so is the Auburn transfer.
Aiden Holloway.
Yes. Mm-hmm. He's expected to play tonight as well.
And he hit 6 threes the other night in the game after, the claim was he could not shoot the basketball. So sometimes a change of scenery will help you.
There you go. Von Braun Center tonight, 7 o'clock. You can tune in to 97.7 ESPN The Zone. You can listen to the game over the airwaves. If you can't make it, you can listen to it over the airwaves of 97.7 ESPN The Zone as well. So college basketball coming your way tonight. Alabama was in town yesterday. They were at the Von Braun Center. They practiced yesterday inside there. So they've been in town for a little over 24 hours now. So college basketball coming your way.
Yeah, there was a lot of buzz about it in the press box on Saturday inside Bryant-Denny Stadium. Everybody was excited, and they certainly are. They're going to be doing some things over at the one of the local hospitals this morning with the players and coaches. So excited about that for them to see some great folks and some people that are going to be really excited to see Alabama basketball. So as you said, Chris Moulton on the call. Chris Moulton. See, I'm thinking I got Chris Youngblood. Steve Moulton on the call. Steve, thank you.
There you go.
With the czar, Tom Abraham, handling your duties, since you will have your
my hands will be full.
Yeah, your hands will be full. Don't everybody freak out. Scott will be doing the PA, so you'll hear a very familiar voice announcing the starting lineups and the baskets for both of these squads tonight.
All right, 7 o'clock. Get down there and watch some basketball.
Should be exciting.
So now in Monday traditional form, it's your good, the bad, the ugly from a weekend of college football. There was a lot of good, there was some ugly, and there was some bad along the way. When we left here on Friday, I really thought that Mississippi State stood a chance against Arkansas. I did. I felt like they could play well with Arkansas. That didn't happen. But Alabama, Auburn, both do and handle business on Saturday. Alabama, for the first time since 2020, they shut out an SEC opponent. They shut out Mississippi State back on October 31st, 2020, 41-0. They shut out Missouri on Saturday, 34-0. And Alabama had a 13-0 lead at the half, marking the second consecutive SEC game for the Crimson Tide defense that it's held its opponent without a point in the opening half of play.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the good was definitely Alabama's defense. Now, I understand, too, there's no delusions of grandeur here. We know that Missouri was banged up, but that's not Alabama's problem. Brady Cook surprised me by trying to play. They said he was very doubtful early in the week, and then he was upgraded to probable, and then with that ankle in situation, and he came out. He played a quarter and a half. Then he actually –
the poor guy actually hit his hand on two helmets trying to throw the ball. I mean, he was –
but he was under pressure.
For him to play in
Alabama did a good job moving him off his spot, pressuring him. They sacked him early. Jihad Campbell Missouri came out, tried a flea flicker, but there was no time. It was a sack for -9. It was actually the only sack Alabama got the entire game, but they did pressure him throughout and moved him off his spot. And then we know that, after he went out, and honestly, when he went back to the locker room, I thought maybe it was just still his ankle because he couldn't move as well as you would like. And when you're kind of a sitting duck back there, it's very, very difficult. But it turned out that it was, as you said, it was the hand situation. They gave him an x-ray and they just felt like it wasn't in his best interest to continue to play because they got more to play for.
They do.
More football. And they put in, of course, the transfer Drew Pine, who's been everywhere under the sun. And just
same guy that lost the starting job.
And I will say, that again, he's been. Somebody rightly pointed out this weekend. I had to say, wow, that is kind of interesting. At one time, Drew Pine and Tyler Buckner were the quarterbacks at Notre Dame,
and Buckner beat him out. Buckner beat Pine out for the starting job at Notre Dame.
Yeah, by the end of the season, they were they were back and forth there. But now, and Drew's been at Arizona State. And now he's at Missouri, and he struggled. I mean, to say the least, 6 of 12, 3 of them were picked. He turned the ball over. They played somebody named J.R. Blood. I thought it was Halloween or something, but he was the third quarterback. He played just a few snaps, and they went back to Pine. So it was ugly for Mizzou. They ran the ball decently, but I thought Alabama's defense continued to get better, especially when you consider how banged up they were in the back end. Devontae Smith did not play very much. He was on a pitch count indefinitely. Red Morgan, same thing. So they even moved Deshaun Jones to that Husky spot. They don't have a lot of available bodies, and I thought Bray Hubbard was the best story. I mean, he's subbing for Keon Sabb, who we've already said may be out for the year with his broken foot, and so he had 7 tackles and an interception. Did Bray? He did a nice job, and then Alabama generated 3 turnovers. Malachi Moore had another interception, second straight game with one, and then Quay Russaw too, with his teammate James Smith pressuring Drew Pine into that pick. So they and the key was, I thought this was part of the good for Alabama, no turnovers. They've been turning it over, multiple times a game the last 3 games. They did not turn it over against Missouri, did not give them any help. And then we also figured out that Graham Nicholson can make kicks. Okay. He made 2 big field goals in the first half. Was it disappointing that Alabama didn't score touchdowns? Yes. But can you imagine the level of anxiety if he had missed both those field goals and it's nothing late in the first half? There would have been people with PTSD freaking out. And then I thought the biggest sequence in the game after Malachi's interception, which I thought was huge, Alabama took it in and scored a touchdown right before the end of the half with under a minute to go to make it 13-0. And I thought that relaxed everybody. Alabama got off to slow starts, which is part of the bad, in my opinion. They still left too many plays on the field in the passing game. So they got off to slow starts in each half. But again, I thought overall, when you're talking 34-0, I would say it was probably a B+ performance, not an A, just simply because I don't think they scored enough points and left some plays on the field. And again, Missouri was banged up at the QB spot.
It feels a lot better, though, walking into the film room on Sunday, because Alabama goes back to work on Sunday, coming into a bye week, looking at this film than what has been transpiring, because you feel a little bit better. Alabama, though, did secure its first 3-and-out on an opening drive this season after stopping Missouri. Not every opponent's gone down and scored on their opening drive, but a lot of teams have gone and been able to move the ball on their opening drive, but Alabama secured its first 3-and-out of the season on that first possession.
They did, and Scott and I did not discuss this. This was not set up before the show, but that is a perfect segue to my ugly, because it should have been 2 straight 3-and-outs,
right?
But Mo, Larry, Curly, and Shemp, once again, they blow it. And I'm sitting there in the press box in Bryant-Denny Stadium. They forget to blow the whistle. At least it felt like that to me. Maybe a malfunctioning whistle. Hell, I don't know. But they call it delay a game that they don't blow the whistle for. Nobody hears it. LT Overton sacks the quarterback. Looks like a 3-and-out. Then Doofus Brain calls, well, it's a delay a game, and now we've got a personal foul roughing the passer on Alabama, so that'll be a first down. I mean, are you kidding me?
Yeah, it was hard to hear. I watched the replay.
Well, they were getting booed unmercifully. I was, matter of fact, I was just on a show before this one in another part of the state, and they were talking about Halloween costumes. And I asked them this question. I said, what if I dressed as an SEC ref? Would I get egged? I mean, come on. I mean, it was idiotic.
People would probably walk with you because you'd be blind.
Well, there you go. I'd have to wear glasses. Yeah. And then have a cane. I forgot about that part of it, Scott. That's a good idea right there. I mean, they might even show pity on me, but I doubt it. They'd probably just put me in a ditch.
Hockey games are synonymous for playing 3 blind mice.
Oh, are they?
Okay. Yeah, hockey games are. What if we...
Are you going to play that tonight if they blow a couple of calls? That'd be great. I don't know if Joel Lamb would like that, but I think it'd be funny. But I mean, but seriously.
Yeah.
And then later in the second half, they screwed another one up where they called running into the kicker, the punter for Alabama got hit. And it was 5 yards. They have to decide if it's roughing or running into. They called it running into. And then they called Kendrick Law for a personal foul and didn't offset him at first. Then they had to sit there and talk for 5 minutes and decide if it was offsetting penalties. So that was the ugly to me. I mean, still the SEC officiating is not good. And, I thought to myself, well, if everybody had thrown something onto the field, maybe they would have just said replay the down. I don't know. But I just thought it was stupid. I mean, that was the ugly to me. And then more the good, Auburn. I mean, I picked them to win. They go on the road and fall behind 10-0. I mean, you fall behind 10-0 just like that after another Peyton Thorne interception. You're thinking, oh Lord. But they stuck with the plan. And Jarquez Hunter looked like Bo Jackson.
They let Jarquez Hunter run the ball.
They gave him 19 carries and some touches against Mizzou, but Mizzou did a good job stopping the run. Now
23 carries for 278 yards and
278 yards. Think about that. I mean, Kentucky is supposed to be known to stop the run. The last 2 weeks, it has just been basketball season over in the Bluegrass.
That was the best rushing performance by an Auburn running back since Trey Mason ran for 304 yards
2010
against Missouri in 13. I believe that was 13, the SEC 13, title
I'm sorry.
game.
That was the game. He got real hot and finished in like the top 5 in the Heisman, and they lost in the national championship game. My bad. Yeah, because that's right. Because
he ran all over Missouri. I mean, they just handed him the ball.
Right.
I mean, basically, you would just yawn because you were like, well, Trey Mason's going to get the ball again, and he did. And he did.
Yeah, he went crazy at the end of that season. I forgot that he got 300. Was that in the SEC championship game?
That was the SEC title game, yeah.
Wow,
yeah.
303
yards in the SEC title game by Trey Mason. So still, but I mean, all right. I tell you what, 7:15, let's get a break in. When we come back, we'll go out to the phone lines. Mark from Spring Hill, we'll get to you. Plus, we got to hear from Kalen DeBoer. We got to hear from Hugh Freeze. Plus, we got more good, the bad, the ugly from a weekend of college football.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Looks like we may have a wreck on the causeway headed southbound into Decatur. That's backing traffic up into the 3120Y. Got a wreck in Limestone County, Laketown Road and Easter Ferry. It's no injury. Working one on 20 westbound at Woodall. I don't think anybody's hurt there. 24 in McIntyre Lane in Decatur may have had an injury. Had somebody hurt on Old Railroad Bed north of Yarborough Road. And they were working Shady Grove and Deerfoot. Had a bicyclist hit there, but apparently it's a no injury. Do you need assistance with a temp project or maybe finding a new employee? Snelling can help. They also do background checks, computer assessments, and payroll. Huntsville.snelling.com. Captain Eck in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Tom Luganville here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
This is Wes Neighbors sitting here with Stan McDonald. Stan, tell everybody why you're the best damn dirt lawyer in North Alabama.
Yes, Wes, at Jacob Title and the Stanton Law Firm. You know I'm a dirt lawyer, and a lot of our friends know that, which means we specialize in real estate. Now, if you own real estate or you're buying it or you're selling it, you need to do a closing, but a lot of times there's legal issues associated with that. We're a great group to talk to. My son, Lewis McDonald, heads our commercial closing division, and we approach your real estate needs very seriously. We seek to be the premier real estate closing company in North Alabama, and we do it in such a way it shows that we're experienced, we're for your success. We like to handle your real estate needs the same way Coach Dan Reeves used to say, never let them see you sweat. And that's going to be to your benefit, too, when you visit us at Jacob Title and the Stanton Law Firm. Our website online is jacobtitle.com.
Embark on a flavorful journey at the Brewers Cooperative, located within the vibrant community hub of Stovehouse in Huntsville. Their brewery isn't just about crafting exceptional beers. It's a destination where culinary delights and local brews harmonize. Whether you're seeking a laid-back lunch or a lively dinner with friends, their diverse menu has something to please every palate. And with a commitment to quality and a passion for innovation, they invite you to savor the unique flavor of Huntsville's craft beer scene at the Brewers Cooperative.
Our steady diet consists of food and football, and occasionally some baseball and hoops.
Did you eat a lot of paint chips when you were a kid?
97.7 ESPN The Zone.
No sleep till.
Scott, you were telling me somebody from the Bears, they ain't going to have no sleep.
Man. Dude. What they're not showing on TV is what number 29
That was part of the
Bears
ugly, by the way. You're telling me about that. I got to look this up. Who's 29 on the Bears? 29 on the Bears.
I got to show. During one of the breaks, I'll show you I'll show you like the fan angle or whatever, and you can see it.
You know, somebody
barely.
was just recording the whole damn thing too.
Anyway, good, bad, the ugly from a weekend of college football. 256-576-4977. Mark from Spring Hill is with us. Good morning, Mark.
Hey, morning, guys. Morning. Hey, I don't know about good, bad, or ugly, but I can tell you what's nasty is the SEC officiating. I looked up how much we pay SEC officials, about $1,500 a game. We talked about this before, but NFL officiated, the average official gets about $250,000. And, you know, when people start saying, well, it's only it's only for so many months. And here, my solution to this is I do believe that you make them full time. You get quality guys. This is a career pathway. I remember when I was superintendent of a school system in Alabama, we talked about it's not what you learn, it's what you can do. And it's about getting into those career pathways that can help you be successful. And I think there is a place for a career pathway for just officiating. We already got, high school's got a shortage all over the country. But it does go all the way to the SEC officiating, which used to be credible. And so what are your thoughts on, I'm looking at something like a 6-month contract, no different than some of these NIL deals, but where you get officials that have been trained, they work all year. This is their job. I don't care if you want to call it a training camp. They work your Dr. Murray Stallion games during the spring. You work college games. I mean, there's plenty of work to do, but pay them and pay them well. Will that not improve college officiating? Because we don't see this problem in the NFL.
Well, I've seen some bad calls in the NFL myself. I saw 2 or 3 yesterday, which were just very questionable. But they do have full-time officials, and they do work at it. And I think with what the college game and where it's gone, I think they should have full-time officials in the in college football. Also, I've said it for years that I felt like, and the SEC certainly is having its issues, but it's an epidemic around college football, period. Jim Mora Jr. was talking about that, where he felt like his team got robbed, in an ACC game against an ACC opponent, and he felt like the officiating cost his team the game. So I think Power 4 and really college officiating should be full time. I mean, if you're paying refs over 6 figures, like if they're making 6 figures for a football season, that's you can make a living doing that. So to me, I think whether that they can have a side hustle if they own an insurance company and have somebody run it for them. But I'm just thinking that you need to have these guys be full-time employees, full benefits, everything. Yep. And then if some of them want to move up to the NFL, so be it. But if they don't, you can make a full-time living being an SEC football official or a collegiate football official.
Let's go to Brandon real fast. Good morning, Brandon.
What's up, Brandon?
The good. Iowa has scored 40 points.
Break them up.
Yeah, they beat Northwestern. I'm not too excited about that.
Well, Northwestern has won at least one Big Ten game, right?
Right. But look, Iowa scored a bunch of points. They still have a quarterback problem. Kurt Ferentz believes in playing Cade McNamara, which should not happen. So if they make that change, it'll be better. But if we play a defense with a pulse, we do not score.
Yeah.
But you got to take those W's while you can get them. And I guarantee you, if I'd have told you last year that next year you'd score 40 points in 2 out of 3 games, you'd have took that right.
Yeah, but last week we played Michigan State. Michigan State is not a great football team, and the offense couldn't move the ball a dime. So, I mean, yeah, we are scoring points against teams that are bad. But when it comes to playing teams that actually have the pulse, again, we cannot score the football because we're predictable.
Yeah.
Okay, so Kurt Ferentz is closing in on the all-time wins record for that conference to pass Woody Hayes. He needs what, 2-3 more?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Okay, I know that's going to be a big milestone for Iowa football. Do you see him there in 5 years?
No.
You do not?
No.
Okay, so you think that after this year, you think he'll be done after this year?
No, I think 2 years. I'd say 2 years, and I think he'll just retire.
So you think he's hanging on to that all-time wins record and maybe a little more, but mostly that's kind of it, and you think after he passes that, Iowa's going to say, okay, we put this mark on the wall, kind of need to move in a new direction at this point.
And I think he's just like anybody else too in college football. I think he's about done with NIL. I think he's about done with the state of college football.
Good point.
And I think it'll serve way to somebody younger.
Oh my God.
Did you finally see the video?
Brandon tagged me and sent it to me. How in the hell can you have your back to the field and be sitting there and then, get up, blah, blah, blah. And then they're running the play. And then you realize, hey, dumbass, you got to turn around and make a play. I would have his ass cut. And I know who it is because I looked it up. It's Tyreek Stevenson, who was a former 5-star recruit who went to Georgia for a big bag of dough, and then he transferred to Miami for a bigger bag of dough, and he ain't worth 10 friggin' cents. They don't have a lot of money tied into him, and I would cut his ass. I would do the Jimmy Johnson. You're out of here, bud. See you later. Get on a Greyhound.
Yeah, he's dancing and celebrating while the play is actually starting.
I mean, I wouldn't tolerate that that guy would be out of here. See ya.
And he turns around and sees 3 receivers, and he just takes a pause, like he's trying to figure out what is going on. Oh, we're in a game.
We're in a game. They're running a play. I didn't know the snap count. I was too busy trying to, celebrate because the game, it's not over. I mean, good grief.
And did Diego Pavia Saturday night make a case to be the second or third best quarterback in the SEC?
I think he's the best quarterback in the SEC. I don't give a damn if he didn't beat Texas because he put his team in position to do so. I mean, if the University of Alabama had Diego Pavia, they'd be undefeated right now. I can tell you that.
I kind of feel that way myself.
I mean, that's part of the good right there. Auburn would probably only have 1 loss to Georgia. It's probably it. But, I mean, Diego Pavia is the real deal. Oh, I know. Now they got PTSD because he's coming back after seeing him at New Mexico State last year. That's going to be one of the more intriguing matchups of the weekend, even though I think the trap game for me, I want to see if Texas A&M can handle the success after the evisceration in the second half of Brian Kelly and the LSU Tigers 31-6. My first initial thought was that I thought that and I thought it was part of the good that Mike Elko was taking a shot at his former boss, Dirtneck, talking about how they don't talk fast at this program and have a politician BSing everybody. But there's some believe that he was directing that at Kelly because he worked for Kelly 1 year at Notre Dame and left to go to A&M. I don't think they were exactly fast friends. Not sure he was a big fan of Kelly's, but either way, Dirtneck can have a brother, Daryl. That's the way I look at it.
Well, he is out of eligibility, correct?
Who's that? Pavia?
Yes.
Yes, he is done.
He's done. So Vanderbilt's going to have to find another one. I don't know if they can, but they're going to have to find one.
Yep.
I was about to say, I wonder what kind of money he'd have got if he'd had another year.
I don't know. All right, man. Thanks for the phone call, bud. I don't know. He would be garnering a lot more attention. Let's slip in one more before the break. Wolverine Dan is with us. Good morning, sir.
You know, I'll tell you what I would do, Drew, with that guy from Chicago. You know, everything you said is correct, but I'd add one more thing. I'd have everything in his locker probably out already before he goes into the locker room, shut the door on him, and then leave like a $20 spot and say, go get an Uber, you're gone.
Ha, an Uber. I thought about Greyhound, but Uber would be even better. Make him Uber home.
See you later. That was pathetic. Oh,
And he actually got his hand on the ball, but the dumbass should have been in the back of the end zone.
He should have already been paying attention.
Yeah, so he could have made a play on the tip.
Yeah,
he's so stupid.
He said after the game he apologized for all that.
Too
it's
late.
still too late. After
It's
that.
too late, dude. Just I wouldn't even have took him back on the play. I'm like, Dan, just take an Uber home and you're cut.
Hey, when he celebrated like that, that shows you he's got no discipline. A guy like that is a cancer on the team. He's got to go.
Yeah, ain't no question about that.
Bama Brad right now is just not doing. He's not doing well. He won't. You know, I feel bad for the guy. Holy moly! All right, so real quickly, let's talk about two more games, and I'll get off the phone. It was a victory for the Wolverines. Am I happy the way they played? No, I'm not. You know what, Drew? Northwestern, please, let's beat Northwestern, because these other two games, Drew, I don't think we could beat Indiana, Oregon, or Ohio State. Don't you agree?
I don't think you'll have problems with Northwestern.
Those other
Shouldn't
three are
have
very
problems
dicey,
with
Dan.
Northwestern.
Very dicey. I would not like the Wolverines' chances, but Northwestern, yeah, I think the Wolverines get a dub. But those other three, yeah, that's some dicey stuff.
No, it's going to be.
But I will say this, Dan: Ohio State should have lost. Ohio State should. That's another one of the ugly things. That was an ugly win.
Yeah.
That was horrendous, and that was at home too. And they were what were they, like a 3-touchdown favorite against Nebraska, and they should have lost that game. So I'm just saying. Brandon was just on with us, and he's got friends in Ohio. They all want to put Ryan Day on a Greyhound. They think he's awful.
Well, I know one guy I don't want to put on a Greyhound is Campbell. Wow, what a beatdown! Woo! 6 different players with touchdowns. Records all day long happened that day, Drew. Unbelievable.
I watched a little bit, but I lost interest. It was such a beatdown. It was just, what was it? We had what? How much at halftime? 49? Was it? I mean.
The special teams. How about the special teams?
Only had to throw 15 passes. 12 of 15 for 85 yards.
I know. It was not even 100 yards, Drew.
It was a beatdown.
You know what? That holds well for us because, you know, this team is we're that pass rusher. We don't have that, although we have some pressure on the quarterback.
Trade deadline's coming up, Dan. Trade deadline's coming up.
We got to find somebody. We got to get somebody that help Hutch, because I don't think Hutch is going to play this year, and I don't blame him. I wouldn't either. But listen, that was pretty impressive. And offensively, this running game we have is really good, Drew. A good running game is going to help out a lot. I still think we're going to go pretty deep, Drew. I really do.
Two double-headed monster. You got Montgomery. You got Jahmyr Gibbs, so absolutely they got a running game. Then they got a big game this weekend. I think it's the Packers, right? So this is
yes, it is. It's at home. So
yeah.
But listen, fellas, I tell you what a division of our division's strong, guys.
Yeah, it's one of the better, if not the best division in football, because I watched the Packers survive against Jacksonville yesterday, and Josh Jacobs had a big game. So this is going to be basically to try to take control of this division. I mean, but for Detroit, they got to stay on their P's and Q's, because we saw what happened to friggin' Baltimore yesterday. What a debacle that was.
Yeah.
You know, in my closing, there's a very good possibility, Drew. Michigan might be in Nashville if we win 6 games.
Oh, that's a good point, Dan. You could probably, you get taken care of, and you and your buddies can go down, and that'd be a nice trip to go down there.
Yeah, it'd be very nice. Although when they find out the rooms are going to quadruple downtown,
that's
and then
true.
the price of the ticket's going to be like $500. Anyway, all right. Talk to you guys later. See you.
All right, thanks. All right. All right, let's get a break in. When we come back, we will check in with Caitlin DeBoer, check in with Hugh Freeze, and get to more of your phone calls. It's the good, the bad, the ugly from a weekend of college football. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Got Got a wreck on the causeway headed southbound into Decatur. That one was in the left lane. They were moving traffic to the right. It's got traffic backed up into the 3120Y. We've got Legtown and Easter Ferry in Limestone County and no injury. 20 and Woodall westbound in Decatur. That one may have had a minor injury involved. Old railroad bed north of Yarborough Road in Madison County. That one also reported as an injury type. Dr. Sandman has the Somnodent, a safe, insurance-approved alternative for snoring and sleep apnea. Dr. Randall Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Eck in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Rich Eisen here from Monday Night Football on Westwood One. Join us all season long as we get you ready for primetime NFL action every Monday night. Along with Kevin Harlan, Hall of Fame quarterback Kurt Warner, and the entire Westwood One team will take you inside the locker rooms and the stadiums for exclusive previews and all the play-by-play action. Every week on Monday Night Football.
Right here on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Normally, when you call a roofing company, all you hear is you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Since 1965, the folks at Fleming have been focused on what you need, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement, commercial or residential. And when it comes to storm damage, you want Fleming on your side. They know all the ins and outs of insurance claims and will guide you through the entire process. Log on FlemingHSV.com and book your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
A wise man once said, if you take care of old folks and children, everything in the middle will take care of itself.
Hi, I'm Danny Aldridge, lawyer in Alabama and Tennessee. In the next 20 years, the number of those folks over 65 years of age will more than double. In our golden years, the most important goal is to be treated with dignity and have control over doing what makes you grateful with those you love. At the Aldridge Law Firm and the Legal Town Center, we're dedicated to help you with these goals, and we'll be there when life throws you those inevitable curveballs. Let us assist you with your legal needs, whatever they may be or become. You may reach us by phone at 256-534-3188 or online with Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Just remember, we're here to help. Whether it's personal injury, wrongful death, fraud and cheat, or estate planning made complete, we're here to help.
The best local sports talk with the best in college football. A perfect combination. Hi, this is Chris Stewart. Listen to Alabama football all season long on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Who run it? Who run it? Who run it? Who run it?
Well, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. You're good, the bad, the ugly.
And who running? Who running? Well, Tyreek ought to be running for the border. That's what I'd be doing if I were him. Part of the ugly. Bye-bye, Tyreek Stevenson, you overrated piece of trash, because you were an overrated five-star too. You certainly didn't live up to it. I don't think Kirby missed you at all when you left to go back home to Miami and end up playing 500 ball under Cristobal. He probably doesn't miss you this year either.
The good, the bad, the ugly. How about LSU and Texas A&M? LSU would lead 17-7 at the break, only to see Texas A&M explode in the second half.
31-6.
For 31 points. Outscores the Tigers 31-6. They win 38-23. So Texas A&M is now 5-0 in the league, 7-1 overall.
I was asked this question and to project, and a lot of times in this league it's hard to do, but they said, if you had to bet on it right now, who would you have in Atlanta in the SEC championship game? And I said, to be honest with you, if A&M, Texas A&M, and I already mentioned it earlier in the show,
right,
they got this trap game over at South Carolina. And remember, South Carolina, if it wasn't for Mo, Larry, Curley, and Shemp, got robbed by the SEC officials at home against LSU. So it's a dangerous game. South Carolina is a pretty good football team. If A&M can win that game, and A&M's got to come back down from this, domination. If they do handle success and win this game, I think that A&M will play Georgia in the SEC championship game, because I think they'll beat Texas at home, because that's going to be off the wall. I mean, November the 30th after Thanksgiving, it's going to be nuts.
It's already nuts because they're renewing the rivalry.
Right, and both of them are in contention for the SEC.
Right, and both of them are, trying to stay on track for a bye in the playoffs.
Yeah,
I mean,
no
Texas
doubt.
A&M right now is on track for a first-round bye in the playoffs, and so is Texas if they win out.
Yes,
because you would get to the SEC title game.
The winner would go.
The winner would get the bye
because they get the tiebreaker.
Yes,
if Texas beat A&M, or if A&M just won outright. I mean, how crazy would it be if A&M's undefeated in the SEC going into the game against Georgia, because they don't play each other? So,
that is right. Yeah.
I mean, but I got to give a total, good to A&M the way they responded, and then an ugly to the second half for LSU. That was horrendous. I mean, Nussmeier turned it over. He looked great in the first half. Aaron Anderson, who I've been championing all year long, he was making plays, and Kyron Lacey, they both had over 100 yards, but they couldn't run the football real effectively. And then I think Mike Elko and those guys made some adjustments on defense, started confusing Nussmeier, and he started turning over.
He threw the ball 50 times.
25 of 50.
50 times.
50 times.
50. He put 50.
50.
He threw the ball 50 times.
Oh. Well, I'm just telling you, if you're an Alabama fan, like Milroe last week against Tennessee, he threw 45 times. Remember, 27 in the first half, Scott. With Milroe, the formula, you can't get over 30, man.
He threw 26 times, Milroe did on Saturday.
Yeah, and then with Nussmeier, if you're any quarterback, Scott, I don't give a crap who it is. If you're throwing 50 times, it means you can't run the ball. You probably fell behind, and it's a disaster. You don't need to have quarterbacks throwing 50 times unless you're the Mike Leach in the air raid and you barely try to run the ball, which was his formula. But I mean, wow, if you're LSU, that's too many attempts, man. You're dropping back too much, and Nussmeier's going to take too much punishment.
Well, Auburn threw the ball 26 times.
There you go. Good formula.
Arkansas threw the ball 29 times.
Oh, speaking of the ugly, I'm glad you mentioned that.
I said on Friday that I thought Mississippi State had a chance in that ball game. They were at home. They had played Georgia good. They had played Texas good at home. I thought maybe Jeff Lebby's offense would catch Arkansas sleeping. They would be okay.
I know what was sleeping. It was the Hutzler's defense, and I watched some reaction from Mississippi State talking about getting Hutzler. You talk about somebody they want on a Greyhound. They want that entire defensive coaching staff gone. I mean,
58-25, Arkansas routs Mississippi State. That had to be an ugly of the weekend was Mississippi State.
Well, I mean, I got to give good to Arkansas because we said how important that game was for Sam Pittman.
Right.
Yeah, because
he made a statement in that game that they are better than – I mean, they're middle of the road SEC.
No.
I mean, they're 3-2 in the league, 5-3 overall. I mean, they're one win away from getting to a bowl game.
And you remember our guy, Brian Haydad, that we always catch up with.
Right.
He does a great job for Super Talk Mississippi. I was watching his reaction, and it's just horrendous right now. It's the worst defense they've ever seen in the history of Mississippi State football, and they're 1-7. They've lost 7 games in a row. Arkansas fans took over Davis Wade Stadium, and this was his description. And I've only been to Davis Wade one time, okay, and it was back in 2017. I did not notice this, but supposedly they have the worst sound system in college football. They called it 1A high school level PA. And then and it's not the it's not the PA announcer. It's the sound system. It's horrendous.
It's not real good. I mean, but when you have 60,000 cowbells ringing in your ear,
it does ring a clang. Yeah,
you know. Oh God, I come back from there. It's like the drive back home. Every year is like the driving back home was just like, oh my gosh, I have a dang headache again. It's like you can't hear for 2 days, and you're just like, oh, this is awful. It is awful. Speaking of awful, though, I'm going to say this.
Yeah.
Ole Miss right now, I know they are 6-2, 2-2 in the league, but Oklahoma is bad on offense. Bad on offense because they're a mash unit, literally a mash unit. Don't have 5 of their top 5 receivers. They had a couple missed offensive linemen on Saturday, but I tell you what, they gave Ole Miss a challenge. Ole Miss prevails 26-14. But if you are Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss, I wouldn't rest easy. I mean, you did this football team, they have beaten tomato cans, and that's about it. And Oklahoma's defense is keeping them in some ball games. Their offense can't score.
They were up 14-10 at half, the Sooners.
Yeah. I'm just saying that was not a great performance.
Jackson Dart is the most overrated fool in the
league.
Speaking of bad, I just don't think he's very good. I mean, they're struggling on offense. They definitely miss, Quinshawn Moneybags, even though, heck, I mean, he's not exactly lighting it up at Ohio State. But, yeah, I mean, Ole Miss, they're a good football team, but they're definitely not a great football team. I don't think they're a college football playoff team at all. I wouldn't be surprised if they dropped another game or two because they still have to play Georgia. And, I mean, they'll have them in Oxford, but still, I mean, we saw what Georgia did. They just laid waste to Texas, when they went over there. So Georgia will definitely, I would think, be ready for that game. But I would agree with you. They definitely don't look like a top 10 team, even a top 15 team at times, because they tend to sleepwalk. But they're talented. But, yeah, no doubt that they're I don't know how you would categorize them. I guess sometimes ugly football. I mean, because I wouldn't say bad because they won, but it was just you could call it an ugly win. I guess
that's
is
the thing,
the best
though.
way.
It's the way they performed is the ugly. I mean, it's just they just
ugly
don't
for Ohio
seem...
State having to hold on against a Nebraska team that freaking Indiana beat 56-7.
Let me tell you what, Kurt Cignetti.
He's in a heck of a
in
job.
Indiana.
Now everybody nobody knew who Kurt Cignetti was 6 months ago. Now, of course, I did because he was on Nick Saban's staff for 2 years, and football people that are savvy know.
At James
but
Madison.
now
He had
every
James
fan
Madison
base,
rolling.
we just got to go hire Kurt Cignetti. I don't know how many times I've heard that. I mean, Alabama fans, well, we hired the wrong guy. Go hire Kurt Cignetti. Auburn fans, well, if we fire Hugh Freeze, go hire Kurt Cignetti. Everybody talking about hiring, Mississippi
Everybody
State,
wants him. He's a household
Kurt
name
Cignetti.
Like you've had him over for dinner for 2 years, and now you just need to
if
bring
Arkansas
him on
fired
in.
Pittman, go hire Kirk Cignetti. I mean, even Ohio State fans, if they beat Ohio State's brains out here in a couple of weeks, we've got
hire Kurt Cignetti.
Yeah, fire
go
Ryan Day.
Him.
Go hire Kirk Cignetti.
Yeah.
Google him. I mean, good Lord.
Well, I mean, look, he's the first college coach to start under. I mean, he went 10-0. Started James Madison.
I know he
8-0.
I know he won Friday, but Lincoln Riley, fire him and go hire Kurt Cignetti at Southern Cal.
Lincoln Riley beat Rutgers. That's not worth celebrating.
I didn't think so, but I'm just saying he won a game at least.
But I mean, Indiana is. I mean, they answered the call against Washington. I mean, they've been playing with a lot of pressure, but they've got some back end games that'll be a little bit tougher for them as well. Let's get a break in. When we come back, the top 25 is out, but we're going to get a change because this weekend in college football, you've got a huge matchup. It's in the Big Ten, but you've got a big time matchup. We'll explain it. Plus, we'll hear from Kalen DeBoer and Hugh Freeze all next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got a wreck on the causeway headed southbound into Decatur. That one was blocking up the left lane. They were moving everything right there. Had a wreck Legtown and Easter Ferry in Limestone County. I don't think that one's got any injury involved. And they were working old railroad bed north of Yarborough Road. That one reported as an injury type, but it looks like they're about clear on it. Expert heart care backed by advanced technology. When you need cardiac care, you need the heart doctor. Dr. Randall Burns and the team at Huntsville Heart Specialist on Bob Wallace Avenue. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
The company is Eagle Masonry and Insulation, but did you know they're also Eagle Landscaping and Dirt Work? Eagle can take care of all your landscaping needs, including irrigation, sod work, and planting, both plants and trees. On the dirt work side, Eagle can grade and build your pads, haul dirt in or out, and even do erosion control. Philip Love and his team can do it all for you. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
Mark and Henry McDaniel, attorneys at law, are proud alumni of Madison Academy, and Madison Academy is proud of them. They have served our community through their practice, through volunteerism and service on national, state, and local boards. They explain the complexity of critical court rulings on local media. Their successful practice has been built on integrity. Both are veterans of MA Athletics and proud sponsors of Mustang football. McDaniel and McDaniel, attorneys at law. No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by the lawyer.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com. SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com.
Welcome back, Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. Good, the bad, the ugly from a busy weekend in college football. Now, if you are looking ahead to this weekend, and we got time to do so, and we'll do more of it over the next 4 days, but this just might get you mouth-watering just a little bit. We do get Penn State and Ohio State this weekend. It'll mark the 4th top 5 matchup that we have had this season, and that is the most since 2011. The record for top 5 matchups in a season is 5.
Yeah.
And we have had that twice, 1996, and we all remember the 5 that we had in 1943.
No.
But that's the last 2. But so there you go. You get Penn State and Ohio State. Now, that is big because Alabama has 2 losses, right? LSU, Alabama coming off the bye week in 2 weeks. Somebody there is going to have either 2 or potentially 3 losses. Alabama can knock off LSU in Baton Rouge. LSU, well, no, they'll have 3 losses. My bad. The loser will have 3 losses in that one because LSU got tripped up at Texas A&M. Ohio State, if they fall at Penn State, will have 2 losses on the season. $30 million or $20 million get you 2 losses. That is a big game this weekend. If Texas A&M gets to the SEC title game, if Georgia gets there, Georgia loses, they'd have 2 losses. The playoff committee is going to have to choose from a bunch of teams with 2 losses. It's looking like right now.
No, that's what someone asked me on X. If Alabama won out, where did I think they would be seated in the playoff? I said, well, first of all, it's not going to matter a lick unless they win in Red Stick. I said, but if Alabama went 10-2, I think they would be right now a seed 10 through 12. I don't think they would host a playoff game. But it did help that Vanderbilt acquitted themselves well against Texas. Now they need to win at Auburn.
I think so.
And if Vandy were a 7 or 8 win team, it would certainly go down as a quality loss for the Crimson Tide. And if Tennessee continues to win and push for a playoff berth, then that would help Alabama's strength of schedule. Plus, they have the Georgia win. Now, Tom Abraham, he responded to it. He feels like Alabama is going to host a playoff game if they go 10-2. But there's a lot of teams you just mentioned, Scott, that they've got to jump over. And so that's my point. And I know a lot of those teams are going to play each other, like Penn State and Ohio State. and there's going to be
I
a
mean,
lot of
Tennessee
teams with
and
2
Georgia
losses.
still have to play
Tennessee
each
and Georgia
other
are playing
as
each other.
well.
And
Tennessee still has to play Vanderbilt, which is
at the end
at
of
the end of the
season,
year, which is not
no
going to be a walk.
But think about this too. I mean, you also have to look at it. We already talked about Ole Miss. They've got 2 losses, but they've still got to play they still got to play Georgia. Pardon me.
Yeah.
And so they've got to play Georgia coming up. So that's going to be challenging. No question about it. And then, of course, when you look at the Ohio State Buckeyes, they're going to have to play Indiana. They're playing Penn State this weekend. So that's going to be a game where someone gets a loss. Oregon's got some challenging games. They're going to be in the big house at Michigan this weekend, though Michigan has trouble scoring. But again, Dan Lanning has done one hell of a job, but there has been times where Oregon lays an egg, so to speak. No pun intended there with the duck reference. But again, we'll see. And early in the year, Oregon wasn't playing well. They seem to have hit their stride. They did beat Ohio State and Eugene. So they're definitely a dangerous team. But there's just a lot of teams that Alabama is going to have to jump over. But if Alabama wins and can control what they can control, then certainly if Alabama's 10-2, do I expect them to be in the playoff? Yes. But again, I'll be honest. I know Georgia is a huge win for Kalen DeBoer. I think LSU would mean even more because of what it could mean later on in the year.
Right.
And keeping you in the SEC race, though it's unlikely you reach the championship game, but keeping you alive in the playoff chase. And he has not won an SEC road game yet. Okay. So I think that's very important. And this would be a huge win over what has turned into a big rival since Nick Saban came back to college football and spent 17 years at Alabama after having such success in Baton Rouge.
Well, there's a lot at stake. Every year, this Alabama LSU game, in 2 weeks, we get it because Alabama will have their feet up this weekend. It has meant a lot. There has always been something at stake.
Right.
Not maybe for both teams at the same time, but either LSU or Alabama. One of the two is either near the top, since in the last 10, 15 years. One of them is near the top of the standings. Both of them potentially at the top of the standings. Or, you know what? I mean, Heisman winners have really solidified themselves in this ball game. And if Garrett Nussmeier goes out and has a potentially huge game against Alabama, not that he can win the Heisman, but he could really put himself in a spot to start thinking about maybe being in a top 4 position in the Heisman if he has a good game against Alabama in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
All right, we are just about done with our number 1. Let's slip in a quick conversation here with Kalen DeBoer after the win against Missouri.
As far as giving up. So, there's always areas we can correct and be better. We got to have some better awareness with some things, just, living in the gray area on some stuff, and it's hurting us just from really, taking a big step. And I feel like we're just right on the edge. And so we'll get a chance to hash through those areas, those gray areas that a lot of times lead to penalties or just misexecution. It just can't be that every little thing that is new or happens to us is something we have to learn, a hard lesson from. And it might be just execution of a play. I'm not even talking about penalties all the time. So go back to work. And I know that where the guys' heads are at with what they did this last week, with what happened today. And, a good time for us to have this week to get ready for LSU.
There you go. Kalen DeBoer.
Yeah, he wants them to clean up the penalties. They still had 7 in the game, even though 2 or 3 of them were just garbage by the SEC officials. But still, you got to clean up some of the procedure stuff. The holding penalties, I'm not going to get too torn up about. That's an effort play, and the SEC refs could call it on every play. I mean, now a couple of them were at bad times because, like Coach said, it set up Alabama with like a 1st and 25, which is nearly impossible to to overcome, because I think they did get called for a chop block, which is a penalty you don't see a lot anymore, but certainly they got called for one in this game. So yeah, they've got to clean the penalties up, because I mean, if you go we all know it'll be crazy over in Red Stick. I mean, it's going to be loud. It's going to be sold out. You've got to execute. And, if you're going to execute, you've got to And Alabama did not handle the crowd noise well at all against
Right.
Tennessee.
Right.
That was one of the big stories coming out of there. How do they handle it going to LSU? Do they make some adjustments, and do they give them some looks they haven't seen? And because I don't think LSU is as good as Tennessee. I'll say that. I think their offense could potentially be better, but if Nico keeps maturing, and I love Dylan Sampson, I love their running game at Tennessee. I just think right now LSU's not as good a football team, but they're still very dangerous, no doubt about it. And I'm intrigued to see what Florida does, against Georgia this weekend, because now that they have to be committed to Lagway completely. We know Graham Mertz is out for the year, and they've been running the football better at Florida. Can they move it on Georgia? That's going to be interesting.
All right, let's get a break in. When we come back, Jake Crane going to join us. We'll relive Auburn's big win over Kentucky. I say big because, well, Auburn needed it in a big way. They got it done on the road against Kentucky. We'll recap the Alabama-Missouri matchup, plus the rest of the SEC with Jake Crane coming up next.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. This action update is brought to you by G-Bank. Earn cashback rewards on every eligible gaming transaction. VSiN.com/Gbank.
World Series Game 3 tonight. The Dodgers with a 2-0 series lead in the best-of-7 over the Yankees. Walker Buehler gets to start for Los Angeles, while Clark Schmidt takes the ball for New York. Dodger star Shohei Ohtani injured his shoulder in Saturday's Game 2 on a steal attempt. His status for tonight's game is questionable. New York, the -150 favorite at home. The Dodgers +125. On the NFL schedule tonight, the 5-2 Steelers host the 2-5 Giants. Pittsburgh's a 5.5-point favorite. Over-under 36.5. The Giants +220 on the money line. Pittsburgh at -270. That's the VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. I'm Chuck Sanders.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
This hour brought to you by SportsMed Orthopedic and Spine Center. Online at sportsmedalabama.com. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
Welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Squirrel moment.
Yeah.
The Dwayne Wade statue does not look like Dwayne Wade. I just saw it on TV. And it's
that's worse than the Saban statue being too large.
That thing is huge.
With the big head. I mean,
huge.
this is worse.
It is huge. Anyway, speaking of huge,
yeah,
winning will cure a lot of things.
Yep.
It doesn't hide everything, but it doesn't solve every issue, but it does solve some things, so to speak. But Auburn gets 278 yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground from Jarquez Hunter on 23 carries. Auburn gets a 24-10 win over Kentucky on the road. And that win kind of makes some Auburn fans feel good going into the week. Doesn't fix everything, But it does help some things.
But they played complimentary football, and they came back
Yes.
from a deficit of 10-0, double-figure deficit in the first half. And we're going to talk about that and more. They'll be on from 2 to 3:30 on YouTube this afternoon. They do a great job each day in that Monday through Friday, and that is Crane and Company on the Real Daily Wire. And this is our weekly visit with one of the co-hosts, Jake Crane, and we're going to talk some college football, maybe even a little NFL with him this morning after the debacle with the Chicago Bears and Tyreek Stevenson. Good morning, Jake.
Hey, good morning, guys. As usual, thanks for having me.
Yeah, and hey, man, you're one of the guys that, and it's become very common in the media though. But you were on both sides of this. You had the headset on, you coached, and now you're in the media. We've talked about Tyreek Stevenson this morning. I personally said he should be cut. What is your take on it?
I mean, yeah, it's, I've seen guys celebrate, on the sidelines before or in between plays. I've never seen it this way. It's almost akin to me, and maybe it's not as bad, but like celebrating, before you get into the end zone and dropping the ball.
Yes,
like,
very much so. Yeah.
Kyle Pitts almost had that happen to him yesterday. Almost had the ball knocked out, but I have never mid-play seen it like that. That to me is just a total number one. This isn't T-ball, right? This isn't like the 5 and 6 year old soccer game where everybody's just out there and the kids are dancing half the time while the game's going on and nobody really knows what they're doing. It's just everybody's happy they're out there. This is the NFL. I mean, guys' lives and livelihoods and ability to put food on their family's table rely on having good results in these games. So to be so nonchalant in that moment at that level, it's baffling to me. And I don't know how you trust a guy that did that. I've never seen that before, guys.
Yeah. First for me, I told Drew this morning, I said, that's the story there with number 29. And then he tries to make a play, gets his hand on the ball still. And it's like, oh my goodness. And it's unreal. SEC football, college football from over the weekend. Jarquez Hunter, 278 yards, 2 touchdowns.
There you go.
Auburn gets the win over Kentucky, 24-10. Peyton Thorne, I mean, they overcome a turnover from Peyton Thorne, but they do give Jarquez the ball 23 times, and he's able to do something with it.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, watching him run this year, and we can talk about carry volume and in the moment why he hadn't gotten the ball more, but he's the best version of himself I've seen while he's been at Auburn. I mean, it's not just, the big runs either, the 15, 30-yard runs. He can turn a 2-yard run into a 6-yard run. He's a guy that can get hit in the backfield on 3rd and 1, yet still find a way to get that first down. And I think he's become more of a complete back from a pass pro standpoint, being able to catch the ball out of the backfield and do stuff with it, alignment, being able to flex out wide and run routes. He's really turned himself into a complete back. But, man, Auburn needed that one about as bad as anybody needed one. And look, is Kentucky some juggernaut that all of a sudden is going to change your mind about this Auburn team? No, but we needed to see them go out there and win against a team with a pulse, right? We really hadn't seen that this year. So congrats to them. I'm happy for the guys. I'm happy for Coach Freeze. And maybe this will get that confidence going. But I tell you guys, the more I watch Keldrick Falk,
yes,
I put this on social media. I don't think he's going anywhere, but whatever it costs to keep him, it's worth it and more.
Yeah, he is a beast. He's got to be a first-team All-SEC guy, man.
I mean, he's unbelievable, even on the 3 down. And it's not just he's a really good pass rusher that's figuring it out.
Yeah.
He's really good against the run. He's really good against the pass. He's actually a high IQ pass rusher when you watch his ability to understand the lane he's rushing in, his ability to retrace, and then to feel the run game and understand, hey, there's a reason why I'm unblocked, I'm getting trapped, or I'm getting kicked, or I'm getting logged, or there's a reason why I'm getting base blocked. So he's a young guy that's only going to get better. I tell you what, Auburn's got a first rounder, I think, in him.
Yeah.
So now they turn their attention to Vanderbilt. Does Auburn and Diego Pavia comes back and Auburn fans will want to forget, but they're going to have to remember the last time he was there. He did some fantastic things against his Auburn
they're
defense.
not going to forget that.
Yeah. Do you think this win, though, just gives Auburn – how much momentum does it really give them going into that Vanderbilt game?
Well, first off, I don't think Diego Pavia is allowed back in Auburn. I think he's on some sort of terrorist watch list after what he did to us in New Mexico State last year.
Yeah.
As far as momentum goes, again, Kentucky isn't Bama. They're not Georgia. But you just needed to see it happen. If you're Auburn's gone through this, kind of schneid, I guess you call it, where everything that could have gone wrong has gone wrong. It's like Murphy's Law. But going on the road, not only that, but coming back, right, down 10 points, keeping your head up where you could have laid down and quit. It's going to make you believe in yourself more. I think it's going to make the preparation better this week. And it's kind of, the take a breath and, hey, we can do this. We can actually win games. And, to Auburn's credit, I think they've been prepared for each game. And this isn't your grandfather's Vandy, but this definitely ain't your grandfather's Auburn. So they're going to have to wake up and get ready to play. But I don't think Vandy's sneaking up on anybody.
Interesting that Auburn, an early 6.5-point favorite, Jake.
Yeah, that's a lot. It's a lot. I'm trying to remember what the over-under was. I think it was 49 or 51 or something
48 and a half, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, somewhere around there. Look, Vanderbilt's going to try and do what they always do, what they did against Bama, and it worked, what they did against Texas, or tried to do against Texas, and it didn't work. They're going to try and play the time of possession game, because even as low as Auburn is right now and as high as Vandy is right now, when you look historically, Auburn should still have an overall better roster than Vanderbilt does, but this game's going to come down to time of possession and third down. One of the reasons that Diego Pavia and New Mexico State absolutely lit Auburn up like a Christmas tree last year is because it didn't matter if it was 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, or 3rd in California, they were able to get it. So you want to keep that momentum going. You want to start fast, right, to really get the crowd into it, really get the confidence up of your guys, and kind of let Vanderbilt know, hey, we've, turned the page. I know that's a terrible slogan to use right now, but we've kind of turned the page on what happened earlier in the year.
What was your take on Texas A&M and LSU from the weekend? I mean, Texas A&M trails at the half, and then just literally finds a way to get it done on all ends in the second half and just dominated that game.
Yeah, I had picked A&M. I felt like it was a game that was pretty much a pick 'em. I mean, you could make a very logical and rational argument for why you thought each side was going to win. But I tell you, watching A&M come back in that second half, put the pressure on LSU, and then Marcel Reed coming in. I mean, at this point, and this is something we're going to talk about on the show today, I put it out on social media, like you saw great Connor Wegman against Missouri. You saw very average Connor Wegman pretty much every other time. But when Marcel Reed has gone in there, he hadn't lost a game. He doesn't turn the ball over. He seems to want the moment. And his ability to run opens up so much more for an A&M offense that doesn't have a ton of explosive guys on the outside, but they're good enough to win. I'm just wondering, if you're Mike Elko and A&M going forward, how do you not start Marcel Reed?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think he's done enough. I know that Wegman had his moment against Missouri, but I think Reed could have won that game as well. He certainly has handled himself the way you'd want. Now, they do have a trap game, though, Jake, at South Carolina Saturday, in my opinion.
Well, the scary thing about South Carolina is that front seven is good enough to keep them in pretty much every game. I mean, we've seen it every week, really, outside of the Ole Miss and really Ole Miss, I thought, was the game they got dominated the most up front on both sides of the ball. But if you're Texas A&M, again, if it is Marcel Reed, you're taking a young quarterback on the road in a hostile environment. Look at kind of the momentum that South Carolina has right now, coming off their big win. It is a game where if you don't play well, you are going to lose. So they know that. The coaches know that. But the thing about A&M and Elko is, I think they're just obsessed with the process.
Right.
I let off one of the shows with it last week. They don't want the drama. They don't want the flash. They just want to show up and work on blocking and tackling. And I think that's something that has kind of separated them.
Texas does hold on against Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt gave it a good push, gave it a good try, but Texas ultimately gets it done. Afterwards, Steve Sarkisian says, hey, look, if Quinn Ewers plays like he played today, or if we get like that, then we're going to be okay. Is Texas going to be okay?
I think their personnel is too good for them not to be okay, but you know as well as I do, Scott, okay equals disaster with what this team's expectations were.
Right.
So I tell you want to give Quinn credit. It did not start off well. It kind of started off the way the Bama game did. You thought to yourself, uh-oh, here we go again. Or is Arch Manning going to find his way in here? Is this going to be a game that, Texas just flops around? They go down 7-0 after Pavia takes off. But to his credit, man, he hung in there. I think he connected on like 23 of his next 24 passes after that interception. And Vanderbilt didn't catch the breaks they had to catch. As much better as Vanderbilt is than they have been in the past, against a team like Texas and Alabama and Georgia, they still got to catch a decent amount of breaks. They did in this game. They weren't able to get in third and manageable. But, yeah, if Quinn Ewers plays like that, Texas can win the whole thing.
Yeah, and I'll just say this too. I think when you're talking about coming up this weekend, in the aftermath of this, Auburn, responded on a 24-0 run to beat Kentucky on the road. I don't think he should be, but is Mark Stoops in trouble at Kentucky in your mind?
I don't think so, but it's such a weird job, Drew, because, the expectation, while we know it's a basketball school overall.
Yeah.
And while, Mark Stoops has done some great things, how much has the expectation and the standard been raised there? Like, what bar are you held to now? Because I know years where if Kentucky won 8 games, hell, they started making moonshine and threw you a parade downtown. But Mark Stoops is getting paid $9 million a year, guys.
Yeah.
9. So is it now, hey, if we're going to pay you this money, yeah, thanks for elevating the standard, but we now have to live up to that standard? I don't know. It's kind of a weird deal.
It is. It is a weird deal. And, of course, everybody's going to keep looking at John Summerall, what he's doing at Tulane, and if there's ever is – and because Stoops almost went to Texas A&M, but Elko right now is Coach of the Year. I think if they win this game over South Carolina, they've got a path that they can navigate to get to Texas. They've got that game in their backyard where they can get to Atlanta. And you ought to be feeling great, man. You're the one that first told us they would go 10-2 and be a playoff contender. It certainly worked out that way for the Aggies.
Yeah, man, if them and SMU both work out, I just may go straight to Vegas or wait for the FBI to show up at my house. But no, when you look kind of in the grand scheme of things at what this means for A&M from a record and tiebreaker standpoint, you win this game, you're really one SEC win away from pretty much clinching an SEC championship berth. Because think about it, guys. If A&M wins out the rest of the way to Texas, they're undefeated in the SEC, and even if they lose that game, it's one loss. So there's a world in which they could clinch playing in the SEC championship because Georgia's got to play Tennessee. One of them's going to lose. That's going to be a second loss. You look around the rest of the league, everybody's pretty much going to have 2 losses, and it comes down to them in Texas, right? Or it comes down to them and LSU with 1 loss. They got the tiebreaker. That's why it's massive.
And as we're wrapping it up with you, Jake, did LSU get exposed, or do you think they're still an upper echelon team in the league?
Oh, I think they're still an upper echelon team. I just think A&M in the second half, found a way to run the ball with Reed, and that opened up everything else. LSU went on a nice run after that USC loss, but they're still in it. They just got to thread the needle now, which includes beating Alabama at home.
Yeah, they really do. They got
That's a big one in 2 weeks.
Yeah, it really is. And then before you go, You guys cover college football nationally. What are your thoughts on Ohio State, Penn State? Because the Buckeyes were very, very fortunate to survive in the horseshoe against Nebraska.
Yeah, and look, some people can say it was a look-ahead game. I've watched Ohio State pretty much every game of the season. And, guys, I have not been overly impressed with their offensive line and their ability to move people, even going back to the Akron game. I watched them kind of get punked for the whole first half. They have really, really good players. I thought Will Howard made some big-time throws in that Nebraska game that should give him some confidence going forward. But when I look at Penn State, I think the people that are like, oh, well, Penn State always starts out like this, they're going to fall apart. Just look at their record in the past and whatever. In 90% of cases, you'd be right. But if you've watched this Penn State team, they brought over Andy Kotelnicki, the OC from Kansas. Drew Aller seems to have taken a step forward, is able to make explosive plays with his arm and creating more time in the pocket to hit plays downfield. I think this Penn State team is a little bit of a different flavor than what we've gotten in the past. I actually like Penn State to win this game.
Really? And that would give Ohio State, you mentioned 2 losses in the SEC. That'd give 2 losses to Ohio State in the Big Ten.
Yeah, they would probably be out of the race. I mean, look, and they've still got Indiana. Don't sleep.
Yeah, better Google Signetti. I think a lot of fan bases are, man. I don't know how many times, and you must hear it too. Everybody wanting to hire Signetti now, who they didn't know who I was 6 months ago.
Oh, it's amazing. I begged Florida fans. I was like, look, Lane'd be a great hire. There's another guy out there, and he looks like he smokes menthol cigarettes and does Sudokus in his free time, and that's Kurt Signetti.
Yeah. Great stuff, Jay Crane. Later today, 2 to 3:30 on YouTube via the Real Daily Wire Crane & Company. Thank you for the visit once again, sir. Appreciate it.
Hey, always fun, guys. Should be a heck of a weekend of college football.
Thanks, Jake. Jake Crane, kind enough. Man, oh, man, this is getting good. Let's get a break in. Hear from Hugh Freeze, 256-576-4977, plus your phone calls. Good, the bad, the ugly on a Monday.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Had a wreck on the Parkway around Bob Wallace and Drake. 4 vehicles involved. They had injuries reported. Now they've canceled Himsey on it. Got one Governors and Gallatin that reported with injury. Looks like it's also a cancel, so apparently a no injury. Had Wilson and Ferry in Decatur reported with injury. They cleared the wreck on the Causeway southbound headed into Decatur. That had the left lane blocked up, but it's moving now. Are you over 35 and overweight? 7 different hormones can make it impossible for you to lose weight. Find out with a free quiz at 2030huntsville.com. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
The final week of the regular season is here. Thursday, Huntsville takes on Lee on Talk Radio WZZN. Buckhorn takes on Grissom on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Friday night, Madison Academy's at Westminster Christian. The MA broadcast will be on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. The Wildcats broadcast will be on Talk Radio WZZN. And Randolph is at home to New Hope on Zone 3. And the playoffs begin next week.
From heirloom diamonds to contemporary jewels, Loring & Company is the place to find something truly special. Whether shopping for a diamond ring for that once-in-a-lifetime occasion or marking a milestone birthday or personal achievement with a Rolex watch, you'll find just the thing in our edit of the world's most sought-after brands, including David Yurman, Roberto Coin, Marco Bicego, and Fopé. Expect a treasure trove of the world's most unique, even breathtaking earrings, rings, necklaces, and bracelets, making choosing just one piece a challenge in itself. Loring & Company Jewelers on Airport Road.
Are you tired of chasing a roofing contractor to show up on time or even show up at all? I'm Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Our motto at Fleming Roofing is we show up. Our goal at Fleming Roofing is to provide the reliable customer service that you deserve, and we have the resources to meet all of your roofing needs: residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. We are manufacturer certified for roof coatings, single-ply membranes, and asphalt shingles. Whenever you need a roofing professional you can count on, call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We are committed to finding the solution that meets your needs. We don't have quotas or heavy-handed sales tactics. Fleming Roofing, we have expert experience. We show up. Free estimates, residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. Check us out at FlemingHSV.com. FlemingHSV.com. When you need a quick response, it's Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Follow us on Facebook at 97.7 ESPN.
Okay, guys, show us what you got.
On Twitter at 97.7 ESPN. Online at 97.7ESPN.com. We are 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Well, we ready now.
Oh, we ready. We ready for anything.
The Ravens weren't.
We
Good
don't.
God, they made Jameis Winston look like a Hall of Famer.
We don't pretend to pay attention and then just pay attention when we need to pay attention. We pay attention all the time.
You mean Tyreek Stevenson? That's what we call that from this point forward. When you pay attention, but you're not paying attention.
Yes, when you're paying attention, but you're not paying attention.
That's a Tyreek Stevenson. That's what that's called. I had to Google it, but I mean, to figure out who the hell 29 was. But then when I found out who it was, I was like, good Lord.
Here is Hugh Freeze after the win against Kentucky.
Thank the good Lord. We've obviously had our chances to win a lot of football games this year, and for whatever reason, lack of confidence or not making the right call or not making the right play or things just haven't gone our way. And tonight, our kids found a way to win, and I just couldn't be happier for them, for the Auburn family. We have the greatest fan base, the greatest fans, the greatest administration. Everybody is so supportive, even in a year where it's been disappointing at times, and just couldn't be more thankful. And then our kids and staff, they just keep coming to work, and heck, had a great chance to lay down tonight, down 10-0 on the road, and just there's no quit in them, and I'm just really, really proud of everyone's effort tonight. And
Hugh Freeze, by the way, did not travel. Remember, Hugh Freeze did not travel with the team. He was sick. He did not get there until Saturday morning ahead of the game.
Yeah, he was had some issues, was under the weather, and so he was back with the team on Saturday, and
Alex
a big win for Auburn.
Also did kick on Saturday
he did.
as
He
well
kicked.
for the
Yep,
first time
that's
this
right.
season.
Yep.
So it was good seeing him back after battling everything, all the health issues that he has had to battle all year. It was good to see Alex McPherson back on the field for Auburn after an All-American season a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so 256-576-4977. You can join the conversation this morning. We did mention that the top 25, the new AP poll is out. Oregon, Georgia, Penn State, Ohio State, Miami. Those are your top 5. Ohio State did remain the same at number 4. Your top 4 all stay the same. Miami moves in, though, to the top 5. They are 8-0. Texas drops 1 spot. Despite the win at Vanderbilt, they drop 1 spot to number 6. They flip-flop. Tennessee remains the same off their bye week at number 7. Then Notre Dame, BYU, and Texas A&M. Those are your top 10 in the AP poll this week. Alabama moves up 1 spot to number 14. LSU falls down to number 16. Ole Miss moves down to number 19. And those and Missouri hangs in there at number 25.
I figured they'd fall out, man.
Vanderbilt falls out.
Yeah.
Navy falls out of the AP.
Good Lord. I mean, talking about getting just waylaid.
Drop down on you?
Yeah, and I was listening to, the game day kickoff show, not college game day per se, but it was on ESPN on my way down to pick up my good buddy
radio,
Brett Beard. Yeah, and they all picked Navy. Every one of them. Upset pick. Navy over Notre Dame.
Should we forget
Good
Notre
Lord.
Dame's loss to Northern Illinois and be like, okay, this Notre Dame team, not half bad. They're 8th.
Well, I mean, they're in the mix.
They're in the mix for a playoff spot. Remember, they cannot get a bye. They cannot get one of the 4 byes because they will not be a conference champion.
Right.
So the best that they can get is number 5. That's the best that Notre Dame can be is 5.
It is the best they can be is 5. And if they win out, it's going to be tough to deny them at this point, even with the loss to Northern Illinois. I mean,
Colorado is in the mix. Colorado cracks the.
Why can't Baylor just knock the ball down? They'd like Tyreek Stevenson. I mean, all they had to do was knock the damn ball down. Then we don't have to talk about this.
They're 6-2. It is not unthinkable. Now, it's not likely, but it's not unthinkable to see Colorado land in the Big 12 championship game. It's not out of the question. Just right now, it doesn't. They've got some hurdles to get through to be there, but it's not unthinkable to think of them being in the Big 12 title game. They are 4-1 in conference play. You got BYU and Iowa State undefeated. Kansas State is 4-1 as well, and then Colorado is 4-1. So it's not unthinkable to think of Colorado in the Big 12 title game and then getting a win and then be in the playoffs. Not out of the question.
I don't know if I could handle it. Oh, man. Somebody just beat their ass so we don't have to put up with it.
Well, they've got Texas Tech, Utah, Kansas, and Oklahoma State on the horizon. Those are the 4 games for Colorado. So they've lost to Kansas State, so they don't have the tiebreaker. So Kansas State has the tiebreaker edge over Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. Oh, it's been a fun morning so far.
Yes, it has. We're going to catch up with Ryan C. Fowler, who was in the press box with me watching Alabama beat Missouri. Don't think he'll be here, and we'll ask him. I would be shocked. He's not coming
up for basketball.
He's
not coming up. Come on.
Well, I mean, you never know.
He's not coming up. He'll know he's got his show to do, and then after his show, he's not gonna come.
That's
up
true,
here.
though. I mean, he could have done it on location here, but he's not going to do that for basketball. I mean, I'd be shocked.
If this was, he's not. All right, we'll get a break in, and we'll ask Ryan Fowler if he has any interest in coming up here watching basketball tonight.
Yeah,
but he did watch football on Saturday.
He
We'll
did.
get his take from the Alabama-Missouri game next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
They're now showing that wreck on the Parkway southbound at Drake. They canceled Himsey on it, though, so apparently no injury. It's got 4 vehicles involved, so it's going to take a little while to get it all untangled. Had Governors in Gallatin reported with injury. They canceled Himsey on it. Got a couple in Decatur, 20 eastbound at Oak and Wilson and Ferry. The one at Wilson and Ferry reported as an injury type. Officers, construction workers, and first responders put their lives on the line every time they step on the roadway. You can make it safer for them. Slow down or move over. It's the law. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
By now, you know about Eagle Masonry and Insulation, and maybe you know that Eagle also does landscaping and dirt work. But how about after paint work? Shower doors, shelving, and mirrors, all taken care of by Eagle, the same Eagle that takes care of all your masonry, insulation, and landscaping needs. Eagle brings the same level of expertise to all these disciplines, and they're ready to provide you with a free quote. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
Are you tired of chasing a roofing contractor to show up on time or even show up at all? I'm Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Our motto at Fleming Roofing is we show up. Our goal at Fleming Roofing is to provide the reliable customer service that you deserve, and we have the resources to meet all of your roofing needs: residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. We are manufacturer certified for roof coatings, single-ply membranes, and asphalt shingles. Whenever you need a roofing professional you can count on, call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We are committed to finding the solution that meets your needs. We don't have quotas or heavy-handed sales tactics. Fleming Roofing. We have expert experience. We show up. Free estimates. Residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. Check us out at FlemingHSV.com. FlemingHSV.com. When you need a quick response, it's Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Embark on a flavorful journey at the Brewers Cooperative, located within the vibrant community hub of Stovehouse in Huntsville. Their brewery isn't just about crafting exceptional beers. It's a destination where culinary delights and local brews harmonize. Whether you're seeking a laid-back lunch or a lively dinner with friends, their diverse menu has something to please every palate. And with a commitment to quality and a passion for innovation, they invite you to savor the unique flavor of Huntsville's craft beer scene at the Brewers Cooperative.
At Mr. Sparky, we're America's on-time electrician. Flickering lights and hot switches can be annoying, but they can also signal a major problem, or worse, an electrical emergency. So play it safe and leave it to the experts at Mr. Sparky. Trust our team of professional, clean, and friendly electricians. We'll get it done right and get it done safely.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888-8-SPARKY.
Independently owned and operated, licensed in the respective state or county.
It's a Monday morning Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. It's our good, the bad, the ugly from college football.
And we can let Ryan Fowler talk about his. He has to write a column for that for Tie 109 after every game. He's usually up late on Saturday rewatching the game, deciding what he's going to write.
What would you write if you were okay? So if this was old school Huntsville Times, okay, the old school Huntsville Times,
right?
And you know the old paper boy throwing the paper on your porch on Saturday morning.
Used to wait, yeah.
Yep. And you'd go out there and you'd unroll the newspaper and you'd go right to the sport, throw the rest of the crap away, right to the sports section.
Yeah.
And you get the headline. What would have Alabama's headline been in the Huntsville Times on Sunday after the win against Missouri?
Bama defense dominates, shuts out Missouri. That's what you got to start with.
Defense dominates?
Yeah, we do. And now we're going to welcome in North Alabama's own. Of course, he will be on his show today from 2 to 6. On the longest-running sports radio show in the City of Champions in Tuscaloosa. It will be The Game on Tide 109.
Yeah.
He will not have to put up with all the negativity that he did last week, you would think, after Alabama laid that egg against Tennessee. They went out and put up a goose egg against Missouri 34-0, and we don't think he will be in attendance tonight.
Drew wants to know why you're not doing your show live from the Von Braun Center.
Yeah.
Well, one of my favorite restaurants and one of my favorite gun shops that is up in Huntsville is not open on Monday.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, see, I could have parlayed all that. I mean, I'm telling you.
Well, I got to get you to a new gun shop that is open on Mondays.
Uh-oh.
I've got one for you.
Wow. No,
I
didn't. No, this was not rehearsed. I don't know what this is about.
I got someone that'll take care of you if you need guns.
Okay. This is one of y'all's good sponsors. Tell me about that.
No, I get you. My wife, man, I tell you what,
Redstone Farm.
She'll hook you. She can get you anything you need.
They've been a sponsor.
Guns. Yeah, she'll get you anything you need.
Okay.
I can get you taken care of.
It's when you look back at this game, I don't know what article, what the title of the article would be. I mean, I like what Drew went with the defensive side of the football.
Yeah.
But I'd also have to salute 271 yards rushing.
Mm-hmm.
And that Justice Haynes run, as Kalen DeBoer called thunderous in the postgame, media availability. And it was. Matter of fact, I'm sitting here watching it right now. I went and I know that, Scott, don't laugh at me, okay? I mean, I need you to help. I need you to feel sorry for me here for just a minute, okay? I have no TV editing ability at all. But I do have a brand new MacBook, and they're supposed to be a little easier than editing TV than some of the others. I went and took that clip where he ran 35 yards, but he destroyed that Missouri defensive back.
Yeah.
I slowed it down in slow motion, okay? Slowed it down in slow motion, and then I allowed the full speed version. Well, then I teed it up, and I put his comments post-game where he was asked the question, would you rather miss a guy or run over a guy? Make a guy miss, make a guy look foolish, or run over a guy? You'll love his answer. And Drew and I were sitting right beside him when he said it. So I pieced all that together. So I hope you TV guys are proud of this old radio guy here, okay? It took me forever, and I cussed a couple of times, but I got it. I put it on my Facebook account. It's the one. But I was just watching it a couple of minutes ago, the slow motion.
Right.
And it's not just Justice Haynes. It's doing the little bitty things right?
Yeah.
It's Tyler Booker. It's Wilkin Thornby getting a real big block at that right tackle spot. It's Ryan Williams down the field getting a block. And I believe on the coach's show, this was the play of the game that they showed.
Yes.
For how all of it worked. But once they said it, you go back in slow motion, the way that I cut it down, you see the little bitty things that they do right. Maybe this is the part that gets this offense going in the right direction as we enter the final month of the season.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, that's a lot of Alabama fans, they'd call in the last couple of weeks and they're saying, this is the lack of physicality, the lack of toughness, the lack of, just the brute strength that we usually see from Alabama. And I know the blocks, we see the blocks, we pay attention to that, but a lot of the casual fans, they're just going to see the running back play. They're going to see Justice Haynes being physical. That, I am sure, just made Alabama fans feel just that much better because they finally got to see what they've wanted to see, and that is just a physical team.
That Scott, is 100%. But let me add something to it. I mean, there was so many different things that made Alabama fans feel better, right?
Yes.
Drew started with a shutout. Okay, absolutely. There's no doubt. I mean, and knowing what they're dealing with on the injuries, the bumps and the bruises on that side of the ball, to start, new faces again in that secondary, and to continue to allow those young players to grow up, then to get the shutout for him to call the timeout, get the shutout, that's huge. We talked about the rushing attack, but then you also go look back and you think about the other part. Kalen DeBoer chewed people out on the sideline. And I heard through a couple of rumors that he had been a little bit more vocal in practice, that he kind of went after some of these guys, that had challenged them, and maybe wanted to coach them apart. It worked. It worked because, and then, so to me, I thought they played better, except that first few minutes, that first quarter. Some of that, if the officiating calls the game the right way, then we're not sitting here talking about this. We're talking about even a bigger blowout, but the SEC officials wanted to keep it close. They did for a couple of minutes, and then Alabama stretched it out. So you feel good about defense, rushing attack, but another thing that really excites Alabama fans is Kalen DeBoer going crazy on several players, officiating. It just looked like his energy level was another level. I'm sure he was feeding off of his football team.
And of course, we haven't talked about it, but what was your thoughts on the performance of Jalen Milroe? Because he's the key to the rest of the season. He's going to be QB1. He's got to play well if they're going to win in Red Stick. And I think, and I've said this on the show earlier this morning, Ryan, I know the Georgia win was epic. It was one of the greatest atmospheres I've ever seen at Bryant-Denny Stadium. But LSU would mean even more, in my opinion, because it keeps Alabama in the playoff race, in the SEC race somewhat, but especially the playoffs. And it would be his first road win in the SEC.
It would be. And coming off a bye week,
yes,
he's really good. I think I went back and looked at him. His record coming out of the bye week is usually his better football. So got to keep that in mind before they go to Baton Rouge. But it would be huge because, Drew, I went through last night. You guys helped me out with this, okay? I went through, the first, 14, 15, 16 teams. Went through their schedules to see where there could be possible hiccups, like Texas A&M. In a lot of ways, you want them to get a couple of losses. You got to beat LSU more than they did, right?
Yeah.
LSU, Texas A&M. So it's like losing games creates all these crazy scenarios. You look at Texas A&M. Look at Texas A&M. They go to South Carolina this weekend. Then they've got Texas. That's really the only losable games in my eyes that they can lose. Then you start looking at, okay, Georgia. Could Georgia beat Ole Miss? Ole Miss could beat Georgia. Could Tennessee beat Georgia? I mean, you start looking at these little bitty scenarios to try to figure out. I don't know. Listen, when the start of the season happened, I thought 9-3 had a chance to get in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Guys, I don't know if 9-3 has.
I don't think it will, Ryan. There's too many teams that have to jump over.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you gotta go. All right, you got about 4 regular season games here in the month of November. I don't know if 9-3 is going to get you in, and I don't know how many SEC teams will get you in. Like, how many SEC teams right now do you think will be in the 12-team playoff?
I'd say 3.
Yeah.
Okay. So right now that would be Georgia,
probably Texas and Texas A&M.
See? I mean, so everybody keeps talking about the elimination playoff game.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure how great you would feel with 10-2.
I've even said that.
Yeah.
There's no guarantees. I've had people ask me, if Alabama runs the table and they're 10-2, what seed are they? I said it would be 10 through 12, but I don't even think it's a guarantee that they would make it, depending on what happens to others.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sitting here looking and I'm going, man, I just don't know about 10-2 because you got to get Penn State somewhere. You got to get them a couple of losses, get them out. I did think of another scenario where maybe Tennessee loses a game, but maybe Tennessee beats Georgia. Maybe Ole Miss beats Georgia, which they're probably not going to. Then Georgia, you would go, thanks for playing, have a good day. But if you're sitting there, I don't care where they are in the ranking. If you're sitting there in a poll and Georgia has the same amount of losses Alabama has, how do you not choose Alabama? I'm just saying, at the end of the day, if the comparison's sitting there, and you're looking at Georgia and you're looking at Alabama, how would you not? It'd be the same thing with Alabama, Tennessee. Tennessee has the edge. Vanderbilt just happens to be there. If you're sitting there at the end and you're looking at the different metrics, you're going, hey, you won the game. I mean, you won the game. So this is going to be a fun month of November as we have a bye week to prepare for this final run.
And we're all trying to sit here and we're trying our best to put our committee hats on and trying to think how the committee is going to go, how the committee is going to do this with 2 losses or 3 losses or 1-loss teams. And we have no idea. I mean, we've never seen this before. We don't know how they're going to react. We can only speculate and think how we think they're going to think.
Think how we think they're going to think.
I mean, that's a lot of things. That's a lot of things, isn't it?
No, but I mean, it is. I mean, we don't know what it's going to be like. I mean, I think I read where there's a few more football minds on this committee that was on the previous committee. I believe Mike Riley's on this committee, former defensive back, so he would have to probably recuse himself when they talk about Alabama because he played at Alabama, and I believe he was assistant coach as well. So you kind of go through these different inner workings, and if you're an Auburn fan, you're basically sitting here going, okay, we have 3 wins, okay, got 4 left. Got 4 left. So you got Vanderbilt, tough one this weekend. La Monroe, you win those. That'll get you to 5. You got 3 now. Auburn fans, I know math is not really your strength, but let's go with it. 3, 2, 5. 5 wins. You got to beat Texas A&M or Alabama to get to a 500 season and possibly qualify, for a bowl game. Can Auburn fans do it? I mean, can you guys see them getting to 6 wins?
Well, it's going to be tough. I mean, they do have a tough back end of the schedule. Vanderbilt's going to be a tough matchup too. I think Vanderbilt, Alabama should still have beaten the Commodores. The biggest key was Alabama didn't force any turnovers. Texas forced Diego to turn it over twice, and Texas got the win. Alabama did not. That's the key for Alabama going forward. defensively, they've got to create turnovers. If they don't turn LSU over, they're not going to win. But, yeah, it's going to be tough on Auburn. They've got a tough back end of the schedule, no question about it. But it starts with Vandy, and I'm a little bit surprised they're a 6.5-point favorite. I thought it would be more like 2 or 3 points. But right now, a lot of people like Auburn over Vandy by close to a touchdown.
Yeah, so everybody's trying to. That's what happens when you lose. If you win, you don't worry about anything. I mean, you just keep cruising, right? I mean, so it adds another dynamic to this. And now with 12 teams, it's the one hiccup, and I don't even know all the rules of it, but Notre Dame, where do they need to be in, because they don't have a playoff spot? They need to be in the rankings high at somewhere. If they're not, they're out, right?
Yeah.
Don't they have to be like in the top 4, top 5, or something like that to be considered the playoff spot? I think there's a scenario because Notre Dame, Jack Swarbrick had a seat at the table when they were designing these playoff runs. So at some point, Notre Dame has got to be beaten, you would hope. So to get them another L. And if you look at their schedule, really the only place that I could see it is out the LA Coliseum, where you guys and I were out there a few months ago. Don't take me back, please. No, no. I've been there once, took a photo, left, never need to go back. But Notre Dame goes to USC that final weekend. I think they play Army and another military academy or something, non-major. I mean, their schedule's not that challenging.
No, it's not.
So wherever the Notre Dame, if they finish, I think it's in the top 5.
Come on, Ryan. They play Florida State in 2 weeks.
Well, that's Florida State.
Oh, horrendous.
Bad football.
Yeah, they got Florida State, Virginia, Army, and then USC. So yeah, Notre Dame's schedule is very conducive to getting a spot in the college football playoff and then getting their ass whipped.
But see, I don't think it's just like an automatic. I don't think like you're in the top 12. I think Notre Dame has to be in the top like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
I think, if I'm not mistaken. See, there's a different rule in there that is there for Notre Dame. We cater to Notre Dame. We want to make sure that they're okay. Okay. Let me get you a sweet tea. Yeah, good. How about a Danish? Okay, perfect.
Sounds like Kamal the dumbass to me.
I mean, who?
Yeah, that's a good response. Well, going into the bye week, Ryan, as we're wrapping it up, what do you think is the biggest key for Alabama in trying to finish this season strong and get a win in Red Stick and give themselves a chance to make the playoff?
Yeah, that's all you can do. That's all you can do. To control the controllables. You didn't control those early this season. Now you got to control this. I just think it's getting better. Just taking another step, right? When you look at that defensive side of the football, how does this momentum of getting a shutout, and the first one since 2020 against MSU, where they beat them 41-0, how does this take this young defensive back room and throw confidence in a group that needed confidence, right? They needed to build some confidence. Now, the next big test is those LSU big-time wide receivers. So this is a big group, right? I mean, this is a group that can attack you a lot of different ways. So kind of keep an eye on that. But I also think that this defense, there's some favorable matchups. The edge, getting to Garrett Nussmeier, putting pressure. He can extend the plays. He can move in the pocket, but he's not going to beat you with his legs. So a lot of the quarterbacks they've played more mobile quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And they've given them fits. Garrett Nussmeier is more of a stationary quarterback. He can move, but I think his preference is to sit back there and try to pick you apart. But I also think some of those busted plays where you have a wide receiver running right down the middle, he's not going to miss those.
Wow.
He's not going to miss those. So there's a lot of things that Alabama needs to fix in this bye week, and I think they will. I think, one, they're going to get healthy. That's the key. 2 weeks, not only – if you looked at the practice schedule yesterday that was released to us, I think they're only going to practice twice. Now, they'll do some mental reps to stay sharp, meetings and all the different training and weightlifting sessions to stay in condition, but they're only going to practice twice this week.
Yeah, they're only going to practice on Wednesday and Thursday, and that is it.
Yeah. So you know what that tells you? Trying to get these guys healthy, right? Just trying to get them healthy. That doesn't mean that they're not going to be in meetings and, the walkthroughs and the different things to stay mentally sharp. Hey, this play, because they can do that without having, quote, practice. But
right.
Just kind of something to keep an eye on that, that Kalen DeBoer is trying to get his team fresh as they go into this LSU game and how important it is for this program.
No doubt. I'm going to be definitely looking to see how much better they can get during this bye and see if they can play better football coming down the stretch. A lot of opportunities for Alabama, but we appreciate it, Ryan. Thank you for coming back on your native North Alabama. And I'll be rooting for Penn State this weekend to knock the Buckeyes out of the playoff chase. That would be awesome if they put them on the brink. Sorry, I love Seth McLaughlin, but not rooting for the Buckeyes.
Neither am I. Hey, Alabama basketball in your city.
Yep.
Drew, you're going to the Rook tournament down at the Senior Citizen Building this evening, or are you going to basketball?
I'm going to basketball. You know I am. I will be there on the first row.
Like I said, he's disappointed that you're not doing your show from up here to go to the game as well.
Well, I don't have the Drew DeArmond power.
Here we go.
I mean, Drew DeArmond's got that basketball power, man. I'm still working my way back into the good graces of Steven Gonzalez. So, no, I didn't ask him, but if I'd have been smart, I would have. But hey, I know you guys got to get the break, man. Appreciate you guys, and hey, it's good to get a win. Good to get a homecoming win, and now we get 2 weeks to think about LSU. Always appreciate you guys, man. You guys have a great morning.
Thanks, Ryan. All right, Ryan Fowler with us on a Monday. Let's get our final break in. Tomorrow's headlines will wrap us up.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got a wreck reported eastbound on 565 near Jordan Lane. That one's apparently got an overturned vehicle involved with some injury. Looking at eastbound, though, it looks like traffic is getting by it. Got a couple in Decatur, 20 eastbound at Oak and Wilson and Ferry. That one at Wilson and Ferry did report with an injury involved. Do you need assistance with a temp project or maybe finding a new employee? Snelling can help. They also can do background checks, computer assessments, and payroll. Huntsville.snelling.com. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
If hunting and outdoor recreation are your passions, it all starts with the right property. That's where I come in. I am Bo Butler with Southland Realty and Auction, a hunting and recreational land specialist and a Jackson County native who sees land through a hunter's eyes. Just as you trust your guide on a big game hunt, you can trust me to find the perfect property for you. Thinking of selling? Let me help you make your land attract buyers. Remember, Bo knows land. Call me at 256-609-0512.
It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
We've got another defensive coordinator getting the pink slip.
The zig.
Yeah, this time a former,
he's not going with Hustler.
No, a former Auburn defensive coordinator. But you got to go back a few years for this one. Ted Roof.
Roof.
Yeah,
I think he was the 2010 coordinator that got a championship ring.
Yeah, Ted Roof, the former Auburn defensive coordinator, was with UCF and Gus Malzahn.
Gus gave Roof the zig.
Yeah, they've lost 5 straight and they're allowing over 30 points a game.
Wow. Oh, I take that back. In 2010, it was the Chisel.
Yeah, but I think he was with.
No, I'm trying to remember who, because Chiswick won it in 2010.
And
I'm
I
trying
think
to remember.
Roof was there. I think Roof was the defensive coordinator.
I think he was.
Under Gene Chiswick.
Yeah. Ted Roof
Yeah.
getting the zig.
Yep. Gone is Ted Roof. I was trying to think.
He was also at Alabama at one time under
He was
William
with Auburn
Curry.
from 09 to 11.
Yeah.
He's been at places like Georgia Tech, Duke, Minnesota, Auburn, UCF, Penn State, Georgia Tech, NC State, Appalachian State, Vanderbilt, Clemson, Oklahoma.
Basketball tonight, 97.7 The Zone, Bama, Memphis.
7 o'clock.
Next time you're online looking for landscaping inspiration, open Instagram and check out Southern Gent Landscaping. They can help make your yard your dream outdoor oasis. Southern Gent Landscaping can handle it all, from landscape maintenance and installation to irrigation and hardscape.